Alright guys, welcome back. This is going to be kind of a short and sweet video here. I just scored the deal of the century on these Weld wheels. They were local to me, came up on Marketplace, and I just went and picked them up. I got the beadlock rears, 17 by 11s with 315, 35 17s. I even got front runners. I literally paid like half price for these. The car doesn't make enough power to justify these wheels yet, but the deal was too good to pass up, so I just picked them up, even though they're not really necessary at my current power level. But keyword is yet. This car is going to be a 750 horsepower car, so these will definitely come in handy. The beadlocks, not necessary, but definitely a cool added factor. I can't wait to put these things on. I also want to talk about all that goodness over there. This is in preparation for boost, all this stuff. I got a McLeod RXT twin disc clutch, billet steel flywheel. So this is rated for 1,000 horsepower. This is gonna go in the car. I got AMT diff mounts, solid diff mounts. Help stiffen things up in the rear. Also got direct from TIC, the TIC master cylinder, remote bleeder lines. This is the slave cylinder, clutch shims, poly torque tube bushings. I think that's the nut for the master. I could be wrong. All new bearings and bushings for the torque tube. So the torque tube's gonna get a rebuild and do all that stuff. Under here, I got the ECS transmission and rear brace. So this goes on the rear diff and transmission assembly just to help stiffen things up. And this is the Elite Engineering tunnel plate, and it has the heat shield. When you do long tubes on these cars, the extra heat coming up through the center console is pretty aggressive. With this tunnel plate, it should help keep those temperatures down inside the cabin. This will help cool things down. Can't wait to put this stuff in. It's kind of on hold right now. I'm still trying to nail down a fuel system. To do all of that stuff, you really want to take out the whole cradle. This whole rear cradle is going to drop out with the brakes and everything. So while you're in there, it's a lot easier to get to the saddle tanks. I figure I'm going to nail down a fuel system before I get into that project so I can do it all at the same time. It's just going to make things so much easier. I'm just doing a little more research on fuel systems. I kind of want to go E85 with this car, but several people are trying to steer me away from that. So I'm just trying to do my research and try to figure out what I want to do for a fuel system before we replace all that driveline stuff. So that's kind of on hold for the moment. But as soon as I get a fuel system in, I'm gonna tear into this thing, start doing all that stuff. So this thing should be ready for boost by the time that stuff's done. Boost is probably coming next year. I'm just trying to do all the stuff, trying to cross my T's and dot my I's to get ready for boost. So that's a quick little update on the car. I'm gonna throw these things on. I'm excited to see how these things fit, especially with a wheel spacer or without a wheel spacer. I'm curious to see how the fit up is, and I can't wait to see how this thing looks in drag pack setup. And then I'm gonna take it for a drive, see the differences. I'm sure I'm gonna have to be a little more cautious around corners with these front runners. You got that tiny little contact patch versus maybe 10 or 11 inches wide. That should be a little bit of a learning curve. I don't plan to drive the car with these on all the time, although that's probably what's gonna happen just because it's gonna look so friggin' good. But I do like this wheel and tire setup. The wheels aren't exactly what I envisioned for the car. I'm not crazy about them, but it's definitely better than stock. So for now, I think that's gonna be my street trim. And who knows? I don't want to be that guy who's just running around on beadlocks for no friggin' reason, but they sure do look good. Let's get this thing on the lift and throw these things on, see how they look. What do you guys think? Should we start with the fronts or the rears? I'm just kidding. Everybody knows you gotta start with the rears. This is what I was talking about in my last video. This is the passenger side rear tire. You just see this chunk out of the tread of the tire. I don't know what's going on here, or this. This is what I mean by these tires are just kind of failing. You can see it's starting there, and yeah, it's like this tread is just delaminating. I mean, the inside shoulders are worn down for sure. So I really think that these probably aren't really safe for the road anymore, to be honest with you, now that I've got them off the car. I still have an extra set of tires for this in the basement. They're the Toyo 888Rs. I should really just get those mounted up. I kind of want to burn these things off though. But yeah, I feel like I should not be driving around on this tire anymore. This is kind of getting dangerous, especially if you're doing some high-speed runs in Mexico. You know what I'm saying? Definitely got to put the new tires on those ASAP. But I mean, look at these things, guys. This is what I mean when I say I got a crazy good deal. These things are like brand new. They're in such good shape. I mean, you got a little bit of clear coat peeling here, I think. But I mean, you're splitting hairs. I mean, the barrels are super clean. These things look like they barely got used. I think these are directional. Yep, rotations. So that would be passenger side rear. Let's put these things on, see how they look. Probably gonna start with the driver's side actually. That looks tough. Arby's, we have the meats. I'm gonna put these on with the wheel spacers on first, see how they fit. It looks like it'll probably be all right. And it'll be tight. I might have to run no wheel spacers. By the time the suspension compresses, the control arms are gonna swing up. This tire's gonna move out a little bit. Be real close to that quarter. These things are pretty flush as it is. Oh, we'll bolt them on and see what it looks like when I put it down on the ground and roll back and forth on the floor a couple times. Well, that's the rears on. Looks great. I'm gonna throw these fronts on, see what it looks like all together here. But I'm loving the way that looks so far. It looks good.
Perfect. Perfect.
So I'm just realizing it now. These fronts are 18s, which is cool, because that's kind of what I wanted. 17 and 18 setup. I mean, look at these things. They're like brand new. I can't believe what I paid for this whole setup. It's kind of unbelievable. Man, this thing looks awesome. I can't wait to get it on the ground. I'm just gonna check the tire pressures in these. I have no idea what they are at. 30 pounds. So these have a max pressure of 44 PSI. I think I run like 28 in those. I think I'm gonna start with something like that for now. I'll have to do a little research, figure out what I should be running for pressures. I would imagine you're probably gonna want quite a bit softer than 28 PSI, but for now, that's what I'm gonna roll with. Wow, yeah, these inflate really fast because I didn't really take into account such a small tire. Doesn't take a whole lot of volume of air to raise the pressure in here. .32-ish. I feel like that should be good for the front. All right, tire pressure's checked. Wheels are snugged up. Let's put this thing on the ground, torque these wheels. Then we'll roll it back and forth, let the suspension settle out, and see how everything looks. If it's too close to this fender, I'm gonna have to take those spacers out. I don't want this tire running up into the fender and cracking the fiberglass fender. Oh, she's on her own weight. There is quite a bit of poke. The suspension hasn't settled out yet. I still gotta drive it back and forth. The car will drop more. I mean, there's quite a bit of gap here. We'll see once it moves back and forth. I'm also curious what's gonna happen once I start the car up, because these do not have tire pressure sensors in there. So I don't know, I'm not really sure. I'll have to do some research. I don't know if it's gonna put the computer into like a limited speed mode because it thinks the tires are flat or whatever. We're gonna find out. All right, I rolled the car back a few times in the garage here. Suspension should be settled out where it needs to be. Oh yeah, there's just that tiny bit of poke. I mean, I think if I were to launch this car real hard, which this car should be capable of cutting a really good 60 foot now. It's got Keltrack Viking coilovers, triple adjustable in the rear, double adjustable in the front. This thing should, with this wheel and tire setup, that suspension, this thing should be capable of 60 footing pretty damn good. I have a two-step for launch control wired into the car. This thing should be capable of cutting a really good 60 foot. Yeah, I'm just a little nervous about this poke here. If you were to cut a really good 60 foot, this tire would come up into the fender here and potentially crack that fender. I might have to do without the wheel spacers in the rear. The fronts seem okay. It's awfully close here, but it's such a narrow tire, I don't think it's really gonna matter. If it was a wider tire, I'd be a little more concerned. I gotta say, that looks pretty tough though. All right, let me torque these on and get this thing out in the daylight here. Wheels are torqued. About to go take it for a test drive. I think it looks great. Yeah, this is a little premature on this wheel and tire setup. I don't make anywhere near enough power to justify these. But like I said, I got a smoking deal on these things that I just couldn't ignore. I had plans to do this later down the road after it was boosted. I mean, I couldn't resist on the deal. I mean, it's gonna cost me double to do it later, so I pick these up now. I'll have them. That way I'll be good to go. Shoo! Man, that looks good. Tell me it doesn't. You're lying. You're saying it doesn't. That looks good. I still can't believe the deal I got on these things. Hell yeah, dude. This is sick. Yeah, buddy. Well, I just got back from the test ride. Now I wasn't sure if this thing was gonna have TPMS or what was gonna go on. There must be sensors in there because my car picked them up right away. And it's telling me 29 PSI in the rear and 32 PSI in the front, and that's about what I set them to. So I didn't even have to program them. I'm not really sure how that happened, but I'll take it. That's a W in my book. I think I definitely have to take those spacers out, front and rear. I might be able to get away with leaving the rear, but the front here is like, you can like barely get a finger in here. It's tight. It's real close in the front. So I'm definitely taking the fronts out. I really think I should take the rears out. That way this tire will tuck under the fender. Yeah, it looks cool sticking out like that, but I really don't want to crack a fender. So I think we're gonna put this thing up in the air, take the spacers off, and those will be kind of reserved for these wheels and tires. Speaking of these wheels and tires, I already showed you guys the issues going on here. I mean, it's just crazy that this tire is just chunking apart like that. I mean, these are Cooper tires. I mean, come on, Cooper. You gotta do better than that. And then this is my driver's side rear. You can see there's this line here that's like this tire is just delaminating. Got a chunk right there. Chunks here. These things are getting unsafe. I really need to put the new tires on. I'm just kind of disappointed in these tires from Cooper. Cooper Xeon RS3s, RS3S. Junk. Terrible tire. They're just falling apart. I might throw these back on at some point, maybe this weekend if the weather's okay. I'm supposed to be meeting up with some other Corvette guys in the morning. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to. The weather's looking kind of crappy out. I had to make the ride with the new welds pretty short because we're about to get some weather here, and I don't think I want to get caught in the rain with the ET Street R's. But yeah, these things hook first gear. It's just dead hook, so that's cool. That's awesome. I mean, it's cool that they look good, but it's even cooler that they hook, they perform, you know? That's the whole name of the game here, is traction. Spinning tire is fun and all, but tell you what, hooking up in first gear is a lot more fun. I'm gonna pull these spacers off and see if that does anything to change things. I don't think I'll be able to drive it again tonight, but maybe tomorrow. Like I said, I'm supposed to meet up with some of the Corvette guys. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Like I said, short and sweet. It kind of worked out good because it segued into another video that I wanted to do about the new parts coming in. And when I said earlier that this car should be able to 60 foot really good, even more so now after this stuff gets put on and you stiffen everything up, new clutch, this thing should be capable of a pretty nasty 60 foot. Maybe someday I'll do a video of that, take this thing up to the drag strip and see if we can get this thing to 60 foot real good. It'd be cool to get this thing down the drag strip and see what it runs in this trim. So maybe we'll do a video on that sometime. Might be a little bit, because like I said, I'd like to get that driveline stuff done first before we do that. I mean, launching the car on the stock clutch is probably not a good idea. Yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, guys. If you guys got ideas for videos that you guys think you'd want to see, like if you want me to do a video on the truck, I got another project car in the basement that I haven't talked about at all. I might do some sort of video on that, but if you guys are interested in stuff like that, let me know. And you know, put it in the comments or something. You know, if you want me to do something else with the car, I don't know, whatever. Throw it out there. I'm open to suggestions, you know. I'm trying to keep the content rolling for you guys. Let's see how this shakes out. But yeah, whatever you guys want. If you guys want a video on the truck or the garage setup or the super secret project car in the basement, I could do any of that. You know, whatever it is. You guys let me know. That wraps this one up. I'll see you guys next time.